Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for taking time out. It's always a pleasure to come to Social Media Week. It's always a very difficult place to present as well, because you're talking to people who probably are more IT technology savvy than you are. But, we'll try and spend some time. I'll spend about 20 minutes going through a presentation. I guess it will either show on this side or show on this side. And then we will basically leave a lot of times for questions. And hopefully at the end of it, we would have confused each other enough, or we would have learned something. Basically, I'm calling what I'm going to talk to you about today, going beyond the digital experience. It's just a topic, and we'll talk around it. We'll go through traditional banking in a digital world. We'll go through what's driving the digital arms race. We'll go from digital platforms to human experience. And then we'll try to end at a pretty interesting place, which is who will win the payment space of the future. And then we'll see whether we agree or agree to disagree. Let's start here. We'll start the journey with banks. We'll try to be very truthful. What were banks known for in the past? Basically, banks were bricks and mortar institutions, not known for innovation. And even when banks pretended to be innovating, it really wasn't about you, the customer. It was more about the banks. What was innovation for the banks? ATMs. ATMs were not really innovations for customers. They were actually designed to take you out of our banking halls. And so bankers were not really people who had to do anything with innovation. The fact that we also had licenses which prevented everybody from competing with us meant that we could make money without having to do a lot of innovation. So historically, banks were not places where you found a lot of innovation. Now, the sad news started. As a result of banks not giving customers what they wanted, what you see in the middle started to happen, which is what we've called the growing discontent. On one side, you had the banks who were giving you what we thought you wanted, and on the other side was you. And this created a gap and an opportunity. In that gap, there are names that you might recognize, and that's what led to people like Venmo, Telecoms, P-Square, Apple Pay, Countrywise, Flutterwave, Paystack. And essentially, there were people who decided to start to give customers what they wanted, which was quicker, faster, easier, simpler payment solutions. Another company that has come in recently is OPay. OPay became so popular in such a short while because they recognized what customers wanted and they started to give it. In the meantime, the banks were still staying on the right-hand side and essentially losing market share to all these other competitors. This is what we started to see. Anybody who had the ability to leverage digital technology became a competitor. Anybody who had a digital platform was capable of competing with banks who historically owned this space. Now, we'll try and look at what is really driving what we call this digital space. And what is really driving it is this: payments. Most of what you see and the competition you see in the digital space today is around payments. About 30% of banking revenues comes from the payment space. And so when we talk about digital, I'm trying to bring it home to reality. What are we really talking about? It's the competition for payments. Of course, there's a competition for loans, there's a competition for credit, for those who do salary advances and all that. But the critical space that people are fighting for today in the on digital platforms is payments. The other stuff that comes on the back of it are basically add-ons. Let's look at the African payment landscape, which is very developed. One of the beautiful things that had happened in Africa against the developed world is that the African digital space has actually leapfrogged. And that what you actually find is that the African digital space is actually more advanced than those of digital economies. They find this very difficult to believe, but when I see the use of mobile money technology, it is actually growing faster. I think the only continent in the world that might actually be doing it better than Africa is China. and that everywhere else, this landscape is very developed and the competition is intense. On the right-hand side, you will see M-Pesa. M-Pesa is Kenyan or East African, and it is by far in Africa the most developed digital payment space. I'll bring you back to Nigeria, where you start to see, probably for many of you, names you recognize. Paystack, Quick Teller. And then I'm going to maybe get a bit controversial as we go on. But I won't start here. You'll see GT Pay, GT Money Transfer, GAPS, GT Collections, and Habari. For those who know Guarantee Trust, you'll realize that those all belong to us. And we have intentionally put them in the space that you see for other payment platforms. This is another very important slide which I want you to pay attention to. When we talk about payments, payments is pretty broad. And what we've tried to do here is separate the different players or the different platforms. At the top, you have the PSSPs, which do B2B. And basically what they do is develop payment services for businesses. Please pay close attention to the names. We might agree to disagree. Please, we're not experts, so this is how we see it. The players we see in that place are Quick Teller, Remita, Paystack, Barter, Flywire, Kudi, and GT Pay. We might not have everybody up there, but we have enough of the players. On the next line, you have aggregators. Please look at all these as different payment platforms, because there's not one thing called payments. They're different parts of it. Those are the aggregators, and basically they provide payment providers that connect other fintechs. There you have Clickatel, Flutterwave, Vitabri, and then you have, again, GT Collections, which belongs to Guarantee Trust Bank. Then you have the issuers. You have M-Pesa, you have SureGifts, you have OPay. Again, you have Guarantee Trust, you have Mawali. We are issuers. We issue MasterCard, we issue Visa, so we're big issuers. Then you have the acquirer space. There you have Flutterwave, you have Paystack, you have OPay. Again, you have GT Collections, and you have Habari. And IMTOs are basically, you all know, Western Union, MoneyGram, and all the people who do international transfers, and we have GT Transfer. So when people talk about the payment space, these are the different segments of the payment space that you have to pay attention to. What is really driving this whole payment madness? It is the use of phones. I mean, I see people recording, I see people taking pictures. I am way past this generation, I'm old, I'm on the other side now. But most of the people in this room are people who are so comfortable on their phones and live on their phones. And so what is really driving this payment revolution is the ease at which you all handle your phones and your handsets. Like I said, M-Pesa, unfortunately, is not Nigerian, but it's the biggest mobile money platform in Africa today, doing about $38 billion. Now, let's start to scope the opportunities in the payment space. If you look at East Africa, Kenya is like 68%, Uganda is 50%, then you come to South Africa, Senegal, Nigeria, which is a lot lower. Nothing in life is new, and it's just a matter of time. And basically, as the rest of sub-Saharan Africa starts to do about 68%, the amount up for us to fight for every year is about $16 billion in annual revenues off the payment space. This is a very lucrative and very fast-growing space. What is driving it? All the smart young people in this room. Africa does not have an aging population. Africa has a very young population. That population is talented, it's clever, they're early adopters, and they're very, very comfortable with technology. And as a result, the payment space is growing at a very astronomical space. The second thing that's driving it is SMEs. Most people in this room are SMEs. I'm not sure there's a family in Nigeria that exists that doesn't have an SME. It's either your mother, your brother, your uncle, your father, your sister. There are over 180 million SMEs in Africa, doing about 4.5 billion transactions a day. So when you take the young population, you take the huge proliferation of SMEs that you have, there you see the engine of growth that is really driving the payment space. Why is this space so interesting? I'm going to start to tell you some things about this space. In banking, In Guarantee Trust, one of the most successful products we ever launched is what is Star 737. You know, we really used to tap ourselves on the back. Star 737 was growing at about 54% a year. And you know, for us, that was brilliant. What we have found in the payment space today is the payment companies are growing at over 20% a month. When you take Guarantee Trust, which has one of the best valuations in the banking industry, is valued at one-time book. I think every other bank in Nigeria is valued below book. Then you come to the payment space where fintech and payment companies are being valued at 30 times earnings. What is there not to like about this space? We've been around for years. We have bricks and mortar. We have 700-800 branches. We have 15,000 staff. And we have valuations of one-time book. You have 20 people in a room who are getting 30 times earnings. I mean, it's almost a no-brainer to see that this is probably one of the most attractive spaces on this continent today. What are we doing as Guarantee Trust? You know, sometimes people give me these slides and I know they're cringing as I'm talking because they don't know how much I'm going to give away. I'm never even sure how much I'm going to give away until I start looking at you and seeing whether I want to shock you, surprise you, or not surprise you. So one of the things on this slide is that we are basically building our own platforms, and I've started to point it out to you that in every payment platform space, we have a competing product. The fundamentals of our digital space are very simple. Constant innovation. We are ready to dare, we are ready to try. The one thing we pray for is that we fail very quickly. When you fail quickly, it's the cheapest way to fail. The amount of investment you've put in is a lot lower, but you should never be scared about innovating. I always say when you fail, you fall, there's mud in you, you kind of brush it off and move on. Again, another thing is end-to-end customer experience, which is we're going to talk about, which has become very ironic. Today, customers don't want customer service, they want experience, and so you have to build it into digital platforms. You have to execute flawlessly. You must, again, not be everything to all people. You have your own core competencies, and where you want to do things that you don't have the core competencies in, you must be ready to partner and open your APIs, and of course, your technology must be stable, must scalable, and it must work. You know, it's very easy to think that I started to show you the fintechs. And one of the mistakes that we could suffer from is to believe that that is all we are competing with. But it really isn't if you look at the world today. These are companies that are not banks, but if you look closely, are beginning to look like banks. Amazon Pay, Apple Pay, Google Pay, Alipay. I know for now they seem like very distant companies, but I'm not sure how distant they are. If you look at Apple Pay, most people in this phone, hopefully in this room today, you look at how many Apple phones there are. There are over 900 million Apple devices. Just think how easy it is for everybody to use Apple Pay. Apple has advantages that a local bank cannot have, and most companies in the world cannot begin to even dream about. Google has the same thing. Amazon, I think Amazon has 150 million people visit their sites. Most of you shop on Amazon. Amazon's plan, a long-term plan, is that you begin to use only the Amazon Pay wallet to make your purchases on Amazon. And if you've watched the growth of Amazon, it's always just the start. After they've taken over their own captive business, they go to other parts. All this sounds very distant from us, but I'm truly not sure how distant it is, because these companies have the resources, they have the technical know-how, that anytime they choose to play on the African continent would be an easy entry for them. Alipay is in another world of its own, has about 1.2 billion subscribers and growing, and is by far the largest payment platform in the world. This is what has been happening for years. Historically, the banks kind of made all the money, especially from the SME and retail space. what has happened recently is that, as you can see, kind of the orange funnel, a lot of that money has started to go to fintechs, telcos, and anybody who can leverage digital technology, which means 30% of banking income is easily at risk. Who will win the payment space? It's always a very, very interesting question. Most of the time in a room like this, I always feel that the sentiment is that the fintechs will win, not the banks. Most of you are probably people who work in the fintech space. Sometimes there are people in this room who are also praying the telcos will win. The banks are never the most popular for winning the payment space. I'm going to try to take a leap of faith today and tell you that the easy answer would be for me to say to you, the person who has the best technology will win. But I'd be lying to you. Because technology is going to become a commodity. Technology, you will either be able to buy it by buying the company, hiring the human beings who develop that technology. So technology will never be the differentiator. What I think will be the differentiator is something that this whole theme of social media has been built around. And you have to follow me very carefully here. I think it's going to be the company that has the best technology but can give you the best customer experience. It's a really funny thing. The more technology we've had and the more digital platforms we've built, the more we've started to yearn for a human experience. The more we've started to want something where when we're on a digital platform, we feel that there's a human being behind that platform that cares about us. We really don't want to feel that it's artificial intelligence that is serving us. We really, if things go wrong, want to believe that there's a human being there. There's an organization that cares. And so the person that's going to win, whether a fintech, a telco, or a bank, is one that's going to build the right technology and can leave you with that feeling that there are people who care about you, that these organizations care about you. I've tried to think of different ways in my own life, and I thought to myself, I would like to feel the way you feel when you go to a restaurant and you've had a fantastic waiter or waitress, or when you go into a shop and you've met a shop attendant that's just been brilliant, or you go into a bank and you've met a teller that has just made you feel really good about yourself. And for those who are very rich in this room, those who are banked by private bankers who make you believe that even though they don't really care about you, that they love everything about you. And that whoever can give you that feeling on a digital platform is who's going to win. Now, knowing all this, I'm going to tell you something that I guarantee trust we are going to win, and we're going to win very easily. The reason we're going to do that is that first we have built all the platforms. I showed them to you. We have GT Collections, we have GT Pay, we have all the digital platforms required. In addition, we have Habari. No matter what anybody says, it's the most successful integrated interactive platform in Nigeria today. On it, we stream music. On it, we have e-commerce. On it, we have credit. We have the most successful, all the doubters who threw stones at us and said it wouldn't work, it is working, and it's going to get even better. On that platform, we're going to put travel. On that platform, we're going to put rentals. On that platform, we're going to put event management, and you're going to come into our ecosystem, and you're going to believe and know that we care about you. Another reason we're going to win is that we never stop interacting with you. The idea of the fashion fair and food fair is so that we continue to engage with small businesses who are in those segments. As well as engaging with the small businesses, we bring over 250,000 people in 2 days who we continue to engage with to try to understand what you want. So already we're beginning to put that balance together between a digital platform and the human experience. We care about our people, we care about our businesses, and we have started to create that. The people in this room also who will say to me, it's impossible for a bank to build a successful payments business. Who told you we will build it as a bank? We have the ability to do it as a bank, and we have the ability to build it as on its own. We have all the pieces. And so I don't know about the other banks, I don't know about the other fintechs, I don't know about the other telcos. The one place and the one company that I do know is Guarantee Trust. And that in this game, we will win because we have put all the pieces together. Whether it's Flutterwave, whether it's Paystack, whether it's MTN, I don't know if they'll be there at the end, but one thing I do know is that we will be standing at the end. Thank you very much.